Virginia football team. I hate to use this phrase, it's almost cliche, the cardiac calves.
A lot of people use that on Twitter.
I know. It's everywhere. The cardiac calves.
Goes way back.
It goes way back. Right. It goes way back. But this football team, and we'll start the program here. You guys can hear us. You can't see us. This football team is the toast and the talk of Charlottesville, the toast and the talk of Wahoo Nation. And you got a gunslinger in Chandler Morris that has this all shucks, American boy looks, and he's quicker and faster than you give him credit for. And you got a football team that's resilient and finding ways to get victories, and a defense is producing, and a quarterback is producing, and a running back is producing, and all kinds of different people are stepping up. And I'll tell you what, it's happening at a time where Clemson, here's a stat for you. Clemson, Florida State, and UNC have a combined ACC record of 1-5.
I tweeted that this week, and I
saw that.
And I also pointed out that isn't it interesting that the three teams that made the most noise about leaving the ACC found themselves at near the bottom of the conference football standings.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's strange, very strange.
And I'll tell you what, Bill Belichick at times when I'm watching UNC play, and he's on the sidelines, it doesn't look like with Coach Belichick that the elevator's going from top to bottom there. Like it almost looks like he's like, he has that, we were talking about this with Jeff Gaffney, he has that stoic look that work well in the NFL. But there are times here I'm
looks
like,
good when you're winning.
I'm like, what's going on there? Is he there? Is he like clicking?
I think he's there. I just think he's somewhat in shock that his team is so bad. And I mean, what looked like early on over the summer that it was a really good hire with the organization, the way they had it set up and everything. But wow, I mean, that and Clemson, to me, those are the two
stories of college football.
Shocks of in the whole country. I mean, it's just mind-boggling what's happened to those two programs.
We'll talk about it, guys, on the show. Judah Wickower, we got people already watching the program, ready to giddy up and get going. We can rock and roll, my friend, when you're ready. Welcome to the Jerry and Jerry Show, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on a Tuesday morning in downtown Charlottesville. We're a couple of miles away from Scott Stadium, a couple of miles away from the John Paul Jones Arena, and a couple miles away from Thomas Jefferson's University. And what a time to be affiliated with the University of Virginia's athletic department. This football program is the talk and toast of Charlottesville and the talk and toast of Wahoo Nation. Tony Elliott's got a football team at 5-1 overall and unblemished in Atlantic Coast Conference play. The 19th ranked football team in the country heading into a bye week. And you got people talking, me including, that the rest of the schedule is playing out in a way where, goodness gracious, they may run the table and play for an ACC championship. We'll talk all those storylines on the Jerry and Jerry Show. We'll break down the win against Louisville, a win that was done in cardiac calf fashion in overtime in Kentucky. We'll talk on today's program what Virginia needs to focus on in the bye week, and maybe it's healing that offensive line and figuring out a way to keep Chandler Morris safe and relying on that running game as much as possible. And we'll take a look at the Atlantic Coast Conference from the good, the bad, and the ugly standpoint. And goodness gracious, Clemson, UNC, and Florida State, a combined 1-5 record in Atlantic Coast Conference play. Who would have thought that? Judah Wickower is behind the camera. We'll get to the star of the show, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe, the namesake of JerryRatcliffe.com. And go over to JerryRatcliffe.com and look at the beautifully upfitted and tweaked and redesigned website. Looks great, Hootie.
Thank you. We'll give all the credit to Coleman Kitchen, who redesigned the look, and he did a terrific job, and we're very proud of what he has done.
Well, it's clean. It's got great use of white space. It was always very good. It's you made something that was very good even better. It's jerryratcliffe.com. We start the program the same way every day, scatter shooting with the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer.
Well, probably need to apologize to whoever it was back in August who said that they thought Virginia would get 8 wins, and we were saying, show me where you're going to get 8 wins. I personally thought at this point of the season that there was a good chance that they'd be 3-3, and
we all did.
Yeah,
we all did.
I mean they've surpassed my expectations for sure, and it just goes to show what a great job they've done in acquiring talent and knowing what to do with it once they got it, and you got to give them credit bringing 32 new players in. Some of them didn't even get here until during the summer or in training camp, and we thought that was going to be one of their biggest challenges, was getting all those guys on the same page, and they've done a brilliant job in melding these guys into almost an unstoppable force on offense.
They are dynamic on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, a quarterback that, this is a crazy statement here, is Chandler Morris on the list at the halfway point of the season for the Heisman Trophy?
He's on some lists.
Isn't that crazy to say?
Maybe at the bottom of the list, but he's still on it. And that's
unbelievable.
That's quite an honor to be in the top 10 of the Heisman list when, there's 130-some FBS programs, and if you're an FCS quarterback, you can qualify for that list too. So, that's quite a distinction for him, and he's earned it. He's been brilliant and gutsy. He's been everything that you want in a quarterback, really, and not just on the field, but as a leader and a role model. So, hats off to him. He's lived up to his reputation. He said he came here to win a championship. He wasn't fooling around.
You go into the bye week 5-1 overall. You go into the bye week at 3-0 in Atlantic Coast Conference play. You go into the bye week atop the ACC standings. You go into the bye week with a clear-cut path to a berth in the ACC championship. You go into a bye week with the 19th national ranking of 19 in the nation. I mean, this is a storybook first 6 games of the year.
Yeah, they could actually rise this week without even playing a game. So depending on what happens to the other teams in front of them, and then Washington State coming into town, a team that, if I'm not mistaken, has given up 59 points in each of its last 2 games. So that bodes well for a Virginia offense that wants to get back into becoming a rolling ball of butcher knives, which is what they were the first 5 games of the season.
Is it the Cougars of Washington State?
Yes.
Coming out of the bye week for homecoming at Scott Stadium. We'll get to that matchup. We'll get to what needs to be done with this Virginia football roster at this time of rest, this time of reprieve. We'll take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Atlantic Coast Conference, including Virginia Tech. Good night. Blacksburg is getting just absolutely bulldozed with despair and depression right now. But first, we got to talk Louisville. An overtime win. Chandler Morris, not the hero in this one, played a good game.
Yeah.
Still played a good game. How about that defense, Hootie?
Oh, the defense really stepped up, and I thought what was great was that John Ruzinski and his staff made some terrific halftime adjustments into taking away most of what was killing them in the first half, which was wide receiver Chris Bell, who had like 9 or 10 catches in the first half alone, and they just couldn't seem to stop him. And I think he ended up with only like 3 catches in the second half. One of them was a brilliant one-handed catch for a touchdown, but they basically took him away with I think some double coverage and the turning up the heat with the pass rush, and they really got to Miller Moss in that second half, put a tremendous amount of pressure on him, forced him into making some bad decisions, and you got to give them credit. They were terrific.
Comments already coming in for Hootie Ratcliffe. We'll get to those in a matter of moments. Before we get to those comments, I have some of my own for Hootie. Winning at Louisville, no easy task.
No.
History would suggest that. They were an underdog in this contest. Put into perspective the significance of beating a team like Louisville and Kentucky, followed by a win against Florida State at home, and into the best 2 weeks that you've seen for Virginia football in how long?
Wow. Easily since 2019, but and I'd have to go back and look at that schedule to see if there were two games in a row where they did something.
I mean, are we talking the most significant 2-week stretch since the team had a number one national ranking?
Possibly.
That's that, and that's kind of where I want to go down here. Are we, as fans, we shouldn't be spoiled here? Yeah. Is this the most significant 2-week stretch that Virginia has had in a generation or two?
It could be. I'd have to go back and look at it year by year, but in '95 and '98 they had two great football teams. I would have to go back and look and examine the schedule to try to find back-to-back weeks where they pulled something like this off. I don't know if they've ever gone back-to-back weeks and knocked off two quality undefeated opponents.
Right.
And
because Louisville was in receiving votes.
Yeah, they were on the verge. They probably should have been ranked actually. Yeah. And that was they had huge stakes. They were counting on beating Virginia and getting into the top 25 and extending their record to 5-0. They had won their last 7 straight home games. They had pretty much owned Virginia in Louisville over the years. Even George Welsh didn't win there. I think he lost a 16-15 game back in the day before they came to Charlottesville the next year, and he pummeled them then, I believe. But it's a tough place to win. They've beaten some really good teams there over the years, and that's a solid operation. Jeff Brom does a terrific job. In fact, a friend of mine who was a defensive coordinator at Louisville back when they hired Bronco, Jeff Brom was actually a guy that they were strongly considering hiring at the time as Virginia's head coach. He had already been here for one interview and was scheduled to come here for a second before Bronco accepted. So had cards turned differently, he could have been Virginia's head coach instead of being at Louisville. But he runs a solid program. He's got a good coaching staff. They recruit well. They use the portal well. They have a lot of NIL support. Great fan base. Nice stadium. Beating them on their turf is maybe more impressive than beating Florida State here. And in some aspects, I thought Louisville was better than Florida State. So going out there and winning that game took a lot of guts and some good coaching. And even though Chandler Morris didn't turn out to be the hero, he certainly was heroic in getting Virginia down to the 2-yard line from where they scored that winning touchdown in overtime.
Eastern Tennessee's Jeremy Wilson saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he says if it wasn't for that run by Morris in overtime, we might have had gone for a field goal. Morris set up the winning touchdown. He says Chandler Morris is Drew Brees made over in his opinion. I mean, that's high praise. Drew Brees, a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean
that's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
It's tough to make that comparison, but his game is somewhat reminiscent of that. we'll have to wait and see what he accomplishes later on. But but yeah, that was a gutsy run, and again, he gave up his body. He's not the kind of guy that likes to slide. He got hit hard by 3 Louisville guys at the same time.
Getting hit too much, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean
This team goes as Chandler Morris goes. I literally turned that into one of the headlines for today's show.
No question.
It's
about
keep Chandler Morris safe.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's more and like the thing is, it's like we saw this with Calandria, we see this with gunslingers, with men of moxie, if you may.
Mm-hmm.
Their confidence is their biggest strength, but it's also an aspect of their personality that can put them in peril.
Yes.
And Morris believes that on every time the ball is snapped to him, he can make a winning play. And some winning plays are throwing the ball away and not getting hit.
True.
It's
hard for a quarterback to learn, I think.
Right, especially a guy like Chandler Morris.
Yeah.
Because that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would think that he's being hammered with this in the bye week by Coach Elliott, Des Kitchings, and the staff. If something happens to you, we are not a top 20 football team. You know, we're a very different team. And that's not to say the backup doesn't have upside, but he doesn't have present upside. He has future upside.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the experience.
Right.
Not throwing shade on him, but it just, I mean, this is Chandler Morris's 6th year, and he's been in some outstanding football programs, and he's the kind of guy that can make you go because he knows, he's seen it all. He's done, I don't know that he's done it all, but he's done a lot, and he has just some built-in instincts. I mean, he has a great clock in his head for when to get out of the pocket or when to change a play or whatever. He just has so much knowledge and knows how to use it. And I mean, you couldn't ask for a better quarterback to be running this program right now.
That guy reads coverage pre-snap better than anyone.
He's terrific at that.
This is nuanced football. You're obviously an incredibly nuanced man when it comes to sports, in particular football. What he's able to do prior to the snap and reading coverage and what's coming, you see it with how he sets up the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
How he's taking the snap and almost sliding to one side or adjusting his feet to one side to give himself that extra second because he understands that someone's coming off the left end or the right end or off the middle. And that extra second allows a play to develop or a route to develop a little bit longer. I'm just intrigued by watching what the game of chess he's playing before he gets the football.
Yeah, he has a gift for that, and I'm sure a lot of it's by being a coach's son, especially an offensive coach's son. I'll never forget watching film with Al Groh back in the day, and I don't know if he got this from Parcells or just something that he got just on his own, but he said some quarterbacks, particularly in college, they just don't see all the things that you just pointed out. It's like they have a piece of wax paper in front of them, and they just they don't see it. They're probably never going to see it, but he sees everything and has the football IQ to analyze it quickly, and he knows where you're vulnerable. He can not only see the pass coverage, but he can see what's coming from the blitz where the defense might be vulnerable. If there's more guys in the on the defensive front or more guys backed off the line of scrimmage, and he makes great reads, not only just passing but also on some of those runs that we've, like the 3 touchdown runs he made against Florida State. A couple of those were reads, and he's just the total package. He really is.
He's a total package. Another guy who appears to be the total package, we know is the total package, he's back and he's healthy, Cam Robinson. Cam
Yeah.
Robinson's last 3 games, Hootie, and viewers and listeners know this. We have very smart viewership and listenership.
Yes, we do.
Cam Robinson missed some games to start the season. He's played 3. Played Stanford, limited time against Stanford. They unleashed the beast against Florida State. And boy, oh boy, did he look good against Louisville. How about these last 3 games? In limited time against Stanford, 7 tackles, fumble recovery. Florida State, the dude has 10 tackles and a sack against the Seminoles. And goodness gracious, against Louisville, 10 tackles, a pick, return for a touchdown.
Right.
I mean, this guy's incredible.
I mean, it just goes to show what they were missing. It makes you wonder if he'd have been healthy for the NC State game, if he might not have made a couple of plays in that would have turned that game around too. But he's a difference maker. They knew that when they got him. They wanted to build the whole defense around him coming out of high school down in the Tidewater area. And it's a reason they were celebrating when he picked Virginia over Florida State in the recruitment in Tennessee. And he's lived up to all those expectations, and it's a shame that he was left off the preseason All-ACC team. I think there were 8 linebackers named ahead of him, and I think it pissed him off to the point where he wants to prove those people wrong, and so far he's doing it.
He's certainly doing it. Cam Robinson is a special athlete, one that I feel confident could play on Sundays in the National Football League. Chad Wood watching the program. Chad, are you an assistant coach with the Western Albemarle football team? I think I saw that on your Facebook page. He was a part of the prolific single wing attack led by Brian Leskinek.
Yeah.
Steve Isaac's the head coach. That was when I was working under you and for you at the sports department for the local newspaper. I believe now that he is a assistant coach. Life is full circle on the football team that he starred for.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. He says, I love Chandler Morris's heart, but goodness gracious, run out of bounds or slide. And he also said that Mitchell Melton has been playing great football as well.
He has. He's been named ACC Player of the Week 2 weeks running now, and the big Ohio State transfer, he disrupts from his position. And one impressive thing about him, Jerry, is he's playing with a massive club on his hand.
He's playing with a club. Yeah.
Yeah, and that has to limit some of the things you can do at his position, and he's overcome that. I just imagine what he's going to be like when he gets that thing off.
When he has an arm.
We were kidding with him a couple of weeks ago when we talked to him. We said, well, yeah, I guess you could look at it as you're using that as a weapon.
Yeah.
And I remember the great Rosie Brown, who is from Charlottesville and was named to the NFL's 75th anniversary team.
He's got a street named after him.
Yeah, that's how great he was. And I interviewed him one time, and he and I wish I could remember the entire story. It's been a long time ago, but he played with a wrap around his forearm and hand, and he used that as a weapon rather effectively in the NFL.
He'd club people.
Yes, he did. He'd knock them silly.
He would literally club people. To Chad's point, Mitchell Melton is playing like a man possessed, and this guy is humongous. 6'4", nearly 270 pounds for the Ohio State transfer. Against the Louisville Cardinal, 5 tackles, 2 sacks for Mitchell Melton, forced fumble for Mitchell Melton. This guy is an absolute animal. And the Atlantic Coast Conference is recognizing him. How about the tailbacks, Hootie? How about this running game? I would love to see this football team in the bye week come out of the bye week and say, we have one of the deepest stables of running backs in the conference. We are going to further reinforce our identity as a run-first football team.
And I think they will. I think we'll see that because Noah Vaughn is supposed to be healthy. They thought he might be ready for this game, but I guess he wasn't quite there yet. But certainly by the time they get to Washington State, that's another 2 weeks of healing he'll be ready to play. And they do have maybe the deepest stable of running backs in the conference with him and Jamari Taylor and Xavier Brown and Harrison Whaley from Wyoming, who's came into the season with the most rushing yards of any active player in FBS football. But we knew it was going to be a little harder to run the ball against Louisville than it was most of the teams they've played, and it was. Although Taylor did have some really nice runs, he had including a 26-yard run, but that Louisville front is big and physical and tough to move. But Virginia's offensive line, even though they suffered 2 more injuries in that game with tight end Dakota Twitty getting hurt on, I think, the first possession, and then Mikael Boley, their excellent left tackle, getting injured, and
who had NFL scouts in attendance watching him.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah, that was the report. Teams, 4 or 5 NFL teams in attendance, in part to watch Boley, who struggled with injuries. I mean, he struggled with ankle injuries.
Yeah,
he's struggled with injury. He's got big time upside. Offensive line health, not play, but offensive line health is starting to concern me a little bit.
Yeah, and I think they'll get a lot of these guys back. But going back to Boley, I mean, he's a guy that they felt like was going to be sort of a franchise type player for them at left tackle. His father played in the NFL, and he just was a big kid, and they threw him into the fire as a true freshman, which he probably wasn't ready to play. Well, he wasn't ready to play, and he was confused and a little down after his first year. But he's gotten better every year, stronger, more physical. He's the kind of guy that if he can continue to play on this level, he could be a high round draft choice. And left tackles in the NFL are a precious commodity, because if you have a good one, like a first round draft choice, those guys can play for 10, 12, 13 years at that position, and it's
I mean, DeBrickashaw Ferguson's a perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. He would be the guy that I would point to in that respect.
Who, interestingly, now is a nurse.
Yeah.
Which, props to him.
Trying to get him on the show.
Yeah. I mean, it's not often you see a left tackle from the National Football League and was it the Jets, the New York Jets,
yes,
for most of his career?
His whole career.
Transition to nursing.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah, I think his mom was a nurse, and I think he wanted to give back some. And obviously, money is not the motivator, but I think he's just a good person at heart. But he was thrown in as a freshman like Boley and started early. And Al Groh recognized the fact that he was going to be
a pro,
a great at that position, and a pro.
Yeah.
And certainly. He hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, and that's when Groh was producing NFL offensive line talent on the regular.
Absolutely.
Including tight end talent on the regular.
Yeah.
I believe he even converted Patrick Estes from tight end to an offensive lineman who played for your San Francisco 49ers.
Yes, that's true.
Now Patrick Estes, the athletics director at the Covenant School.
That's right.
In Charlottesville.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, when a 6'7", 250-pound Jack bald guy walks into the gym, people take notice, Hootie.
Yeah, he owns the room immediately.
He owns the room. He owns the room. Patrick Estes, I hope he hears that. He's doing a hell of a job as the AD. James Madison watching the program. Love this guy, James Madison. James, where are you watching the show, James Madison? He's rocking UVA gear in his Facebook profile picture. He says, I thought the patchwork offensive line did a great job considering, all things considering. He also says, I know it was hot on them because it was hot on us watching it. Could you guys comment on the patchwork offensive line? Could you just comment on the unit? We're doing that. Comment on the unit a little more.
Yeah, they talking to Des Kitchens earlier in the week, they knew it was going to be pretty hot out there. It was 82, which meant it was probably closer to 90 on the turf. So again, their conditioning, I think, is paying off for them. But yeah, Terry Heffernan continues to be magical as the offensive line coach and plugging guys in. He didn't think he was going to have that problem this year because of all the depth they brought in, but they got hit hard at right tackle in training camp and into the season. Now they're getting hit in different spots along the line with Brady Wilson at center and Mikael Boley at left tackle. They're having to mix and match and move guys, play them sort of out of position. He trains, I think he cross-trains those guys to where they can play multiple spots. So, and Drake Metcalf has been a miracle in the fact that he's been able to slide up and down that line. But yeah, hats off to them. And I think that's probably the biggest benefactor for Virginia of the bye week is I think they're going to get a bunch of these offensive linemen back, some of them that were hurt early on and haven't played. So the bye week came at the most perfect time.
Perfect time for the bye week.
Yeah.
I mean, the absolute perfect time for the bye week. Barrett Stevens watching the program on YouTube. Interesting. He's interested to see if Antonio Clary can start to impact the secondary the second half of the year. Getting everyone healthy will make or break how we finish the season. Clary, who is in, his 7th year of college football, working on, I think, a 3rd degree, a 2nd master's.
Yeah, how about that?
He's already got an undergraduate degree, already has 1 master's, working on a 2nd master's, Clary. He's a playmaker. He's a difference maker. The key with Clary is, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, he's an impressive kid. And one thing, with that 7 years of experience, he's really football savvy. I mean, he's the kind of guy that can get people lined up if they're not in the right spot, and can use that football knowledge he's acquired to help make the defense better. And he is a difference maker as a player. And you know, he's had that knee injury last year that held him out for so long, even into this season, and had the targeting call, I guess in the Florida State game that set him back a little bit. But we talked to him, I guess a little over a week ago, and he was telling us a lot of stuff. But
I mean, he has aspirations of playing in the NFL.
Yeah, somebody asked him, he said, why do you keep coming back from all these injuries and playing for 7 years? And he said, because I love football. He says, I'm going to play until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And you got to appreciate that kind of enthusiasm for a player. And you're exactly right. He's just a terrific kid.
James Madison is watching in Mineral, Virginia. I asked him where he's watching. Mineral, Virginia is the Lion's Den. Stamped on the map by the late, great Mark Fisher. The only
nice football program out there.
Oh my goodness! I'll tell you what. You sent me to cover many of Louisa County football team. That's when Rontre Houchins was the star running back. Doug Straley was the athletics director, and Mark Fisher was the head coach. Never in my wildest dreams, as someone who was in his early to mid-20s, did I ever anticipate driving 50 miles into the wilderness to pull up to a stadium that had 10,000 people around it, walk into the jungle, which is what they called the Lion's Den, the jungle, only to see an actual real live lion in a cage pushed around a football field by cheerleaders with a fire-breathing lion on the side of the field like a machine lion. The football sky drops, what's it called when you're jumping out of an airplane? What are those guys called?
Free fall.
What are the paratroopers dropping the football at the 50-yard line while jumping out of an airplane? Craziest scene ever. The wildest scene ever was when the cheerleaders were pushing Bubba, the actual real live lion, around the football field, and Bubba decided to use the restroom. And 10,000 people went, oh. That was trying to turn that into the lead of my story somehow, but I chose not to do that, Hootie. I chose not to do it. True story.
That's probably would have been edited out.
I think it would have. I don't know. With Steve Overhauser on the desk, it probably would have slid it.
That's a good point.
No shade on Steve. Wild times, those times, were they not?
That was fun. And didn't we go somewhere and cover a state championship
We did.
with them?
Yeah, we did.
Down in Lynchburg or
We
somewhere?
did cover a state championship. All
Yeah.
those. I think you drove. That's. I think when you had the Ford Explorer then.
Yeah. Yeah, probably right.
Yeah, those were crazy times. Comments are coming in faster than I can keep up. This from Cliff Daisy, who's watching on the Eastern Shore. He says, "Good morning from a warm Eastern Shore." He's still an absolute wonder that UVA has been able to do this. So what UVA has been able to do to this point of the season, I think we all are, Cliff. I certainly appreciate your feelings there.
Wonder if Cliff's out on his boat this morning.
Let us know, Cliff. Let us know. Here's a crazy story. Here's a crazy narrative or crazy talk, and I'm not even sure it's crazy. There's some chatter that they couldn't run the rest of the schedule without losing.
Well, let's look at that.
Yeah.
I was just looking at I guess it was ESPN's projections here, and I don't know what they do to come up with these. I don't know what kind of machine they put this in, but certainly they're going to be favored to beat Washington State. There's no question about that. Their percentages of beating North Carolina in Chapel Bill, their chances went up from 83% the week before to 87%. Who would have guessed that before the season? Because Carolina used to be a tough place to win. Their chances of beating Cal at Cal jumped from 67% to 72%. I watched that Cal-Duke game, and Cal jumped all over Duke early and looked like they were going to blow Duke out, and Duke came back and won the game, dominated. 86% chance of beating Wake Forest. There was 90%. That went down a little bit after Wake went into Blacksburg and dominated the Hokies. The only game they're projected to lose in the second half is Duke. Duke has a 59% chance of winning that game. Used to be 51% the week before. And then this is going to please and shock people. 82% chance of beating the Hokies, which jumped up from 78%. So if they go 5-1 the second half of the season, that's a 10-2 record. And
10-2
you're
record,
probably in the ACC championship game, and who knows?
Yeah, 10-2 record, only one loss in conference play, and most likely in the ACC championship game. And at that point, it's like any given Sunday, anything can happen.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it'll probably be Miami in that game. Georgia Tech certainly a possibility, among others, but and Duke. But there's only been one 10-win team in UVA football history in 120, 30 years, and that was the '89 team that set up the run to the number one ranking the following year. But that '89 team was a hell of a football team. But it's hard to believe that all the good teams that Virginia's had, they've only had one 10-win season in all those years.
Absolutely unbelievable. And the crazy, here's another crazy thing to consider. Coming out of the bye week, they play Washington State, where they should be a fairly,
prohibitive favorite.
Heavy favorite, yeah.
Yeah.
You win that game, you're bowl eligible.
That's right. And they've been bowl eligible. They haven't been to a bowl since 19. They were bowl eligible the following 2 years, but COVID got in the way. But, being bowl eligible barely halfway through the season is pretty remarkable.
Pretty remarkable. It reinforces the job security for Tony Elliott and his staff.
Without question. He may get an extension.
Reinforces the job security for the athletic director, Carla Williams, who prior to the season was embattled. I can safely say that, right?
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say.
Embattled. Now her security seems extremely secure. Her job security status seems fairly safe. And it creates the momentum needed going into the basketball season with a brand new head coach, especially as the athletic department is rolling out this new licensing plan for season tickets at the John Paul Jones Arena, where they're basically going to be asking the fan base thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep season tickets.
Yeah, and
it couldn't have been written better so far at the start for Virginia.
well, that's true. And her hiring of Ryan Odom and Chris Pollard for baseball were solid hires as well. So, yeah, I think she has solidified her position as well. So, Virginia's athletic program is in terrific shape right now, which was important because this was they were kind of at a crossroads, and you had a football program that had been struggling. You had a turnover in basketball after a legend retired, and another legend moved on to the SEC in baseball, and so last year was not a good year for Virginia athletics, and a lot of people were asking a lot of questions. But right now, This looks like it could be a banner year for Virginia athletics in the three. Certainly the two major sports, and that was, a lot of people consider baseball the third major sport over there.
This week's schedule has got a couple of interesting matchups to the point you made earlier in the show, where Virginia can climb the ladder without even playing. In particular, a Virginia Tech, a Georgia Tech matchup.
Is that in Atlanta?
That's in Atlanta. I'm not going to ever say this, that I'm going to root for Virginia Tech. I'm not ever going to say that. But should the Ramble and Wreck lose, that's beneficial for Virginia, and it's push for an ACC championship. Clear-cut best teams got to be what? The Hurricanes, right? At this point.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I watched the Florida State game with Miami this past weekend, and Miami owned them until the game was essentially over, and then Miami took its foot off the gas a little bit, and Florida State, in desperation mode, just started flinging it everywhere and let Castellanos do his thing, and Miami didn't respond very well to it. So I'm sure Mario Cristobal was quite upset with the way they handled the fourth quarter in that game. But yeah, I think they're clear cut the number one team in the conference right now.
The Duke Blue Devils, ladies and gentlemen, they are on a bye this week as well. They then come out of the bye week, the Duke Blue Devils, and I'm looking at the schedule here. They come out of the bye week on the 18th of October against Georgia Tech in Durham.
That's a huge game.
That's a huge game.
That's going to eliminate one of those two teams most likely from contention.
And I'll tell you, Duke's schedule to close the year is not an easy task here. They got Georgia Tech and Durham out of the bye, which is the 18th of October. Travel to Death Valley to face Clemson. I mean, I know Clemson is down. It's still Clemson in Death Valley.
That's right.
Then out of conference at UConn, Virginia and Durham, North Carolina and Chapel Hill. That's a toss-up for those rivals. And then they finish with Wake Forest. Wake Forest is
sneaky.
I was just going to say that. Sneaky good, right? Literally, was good. That's what I was going to say. Wake Forest should not be overlooked. Alike, right? I just follow your lead, I would not overlook the Demon Deacons.
No, I mean, they've had some pretty impressive showings so far, and they're better than I thought they'd be. I thought they were going to be in dire straits this season with the coaching change and all that, but they've been a lot better than I expected, and they certainly walked into Blacksburg and came out with a nice win, because that, even though Tech's struggling, it's not easy to go into Blacksburg and win.
Yeah, It's still lean. Offer some commentary on the Hokies. I mean, goodness gracious. I don't want to say how the mighty have fallen, because the mighty have been on a descent for some time now, certainly since Beamer ball became a thing of the past, and we started seeing it toward the tail end of the Frank Beamer term.
Yeah.
They're almost unrecognizable now.
It's not Beamer ball, without question. I mean, those were the heydays, just like the George Welsh heydays, and it's hard to follow that and keep it going. Fuentes did a little bit at the beginning, kind of like Al Groh did at the beginning following George, and then things happen, and you see a decline, and they just haven't been a very good football team over the past several years. They've struggled to be 500, and I think part of it is, and this has impacted Virginia too. I think Virginia and Virginia Tech have struggled to recruit well in their own home state. They've gotten some marginal players, occasionally a good player, but they don't collect the great talent in the state like they did during the Beamer era, just like Virginia did during part of Georgia's era. And if you look back at most of the Tech and UVA really good football teams,
they own the
there
Commonwealth.
Were a lot of Virginians.
Yeah.
On those rosters. Yeah,
they own the Commonwealth. They own the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area, most notably. Virginia Tech built a living on that.
And I don't know that they've made great choices in their head coaching hires either. So I think that's been part of the problem. And they're paying for it.
They're paying for it. I mean, think about the compounded problems in Blacksburg.
The money.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
They've made terrible head coach hires since Frank Beamer. They have not kept up with the Atlantic Coast Conference in this arsenal or arms race of money. They're not just millions behind. We're talking a couple of $100 million behind, is what Whit Babcock, the athletic director of Virginia Tech, told the Virginia Tech Board of Visitors. Mm-hmm. We're hundreds of millions behind. They are not owning recruiting in the Commonwealth anymore. The brand doesn't carry the same weight. I mean, if it was up to me, and I don't know why he would take this job, you, in Hootie's terminology, take multiple Brinks trucks, you drive them down the eastern seaboard to South Carolina, and you try to get Shane Beamer to take the job. I don't know why he would take that job.
I don't either.
Outside of growing up there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of sentimental tugs at him, but as he's been in some good programs as an assistant coach along the way before he became the head coach of South Carolina, and I'm sure he recognizes what he has there in Columbia, and I don't know. I haven't followed them closely after the early part of this season, so I don't know what their record is right now. But
I'll find that.
Yeah, but unless he's not succeeding there, I can't see any reason why he would leave on his own. I don't care how much Virginia Tech would offer him to come home and rescue the program. I'm not sure that Frank would want him to do that either, because you're leaving a potentially really strong situation with I've been to that South Carolina stadium, and it can rock.
It's awesome.
They have a great fan base.
Great fan base.
And tons of money, support, etc. He's been their most successful coach.
Absolutely.
I mean, look, Lou Holtz was there, Steve Spurrier was there.
Yep. 3-2 overall, 1-2 in conference play.
Yeah. So unless they're unhappy with him, I can't see why he would even contemplate making such a move. I just don't think that's a smart thing to do.
Southeastern Conference has 9 teams ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
9. Unbelievable. Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Crimson Tide of Alabama, Missouri, Oklahoma, Georgia, LSU, Vandy, and Tennessee.
It's a different world.
It's 9 teams. Unbelievable.
If you've never been to a really good SEC program's home game, and you're a football fan, you owe it to yourself to go take that in and experience it, because it's a different world. That's all I can say.
Chad Wood says James Franklin is facing some headwinds at Penn State. Was it Penn State just lost to UCLA?
Yeah, UCLA's awful.
Yeah, crazy that UCLA beat Penn State. Just an institutional brand.
And they rolled it up on them,
Yeah,
too. It wasn't
rolled it
just a close win.
With
They
an
beat
interim
the
offensive
tar out of them.
coordinator, the former quarterback at UCLA, calling the plays. Wild time for college football. This is a tweet that you put out on your Twitter account. Follow Jerry Ratcliffe on Twitter, guys. Does a phenomenal job on Twitter. Hootie, you got Clemson, North Carolina, and Florida State, the bottom of the conference. And the Tigers, Heels, and Seminoles are combined 1-5 in ACC play.
And one of those, that one win came against one of the other teams.
It was Clemson
beating
UNC.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
So Florida State won't stay there. They're too good to be at the bottom. They'll rise. I don't know to what point, but they're a better football team than that. But Clemson, and I think Clemson will probably
Me too.
get some things straightened out. Chapel Hill is a different question. That looks like a disaster, and we're hearing things about the locker rooms divided, that the coaching staff is not communicating, that
I don't know what Bill Belichick was thinking.
all the fans left at halftime of
Yep.
the Clemson game. I saw a little bit of that, and saw the stadium looked like it was almost empty. To me, that's one of the biggest puzzles. And I guess I've listened to some talk radio around the country, and there's a lot of people that think that a lot of it goes back to Bill Belichick was great at evaluating pro talent for his pro team, but he's not great at recruiting, that he's not great at
Inspiring amateurs that need the rah to play
Yeah.
at this level.
yeah,
These aren't professional athletes.
and not great at recognizing and finding good college talent to play college football.
Right.
It's a different world than the NFL, where he was dealing with grown men and finding professionals and evaluating talent from other NFL clubs. Their drafts at New England with him and as general manager was not great
Yeah.
for the most part. So if all those things are going on that we hear is going on, then that program's just not going to turn it around. There's just no way.
Bill McChesney, if UNC loses to UVA, Bill will be Belichicked. Bill McChesney leaves that comment. We've dubbed him the mayor of McIntyre. I don't think there is a press conference today, so we can go to the full 11:15, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
No press conference.
I didn't want you to have to take a helicopter to Tony Elliott's presser. It's a bye week, so no presser. Normally, we're off air at 11 because the press conference is at 11:30, and Hootie's got to scoot over to that presser. Comments continue to come in. This is an interesting one from Charlotte, North Carolina area. What does Hootie think the close of the schedule and the season will look like with the teams that may contend for an ACC championship?
I'm sorry,
What do you think the teams will look like that could contend for an ACC championship?
Oh well, I think Miami certainly is there. Georgia Tech. That Georgia Tech Duke game looms as huge.
Massive.
I think one of those teams is going to be eliminated right there. But both of them are in contention right now, along with Virginia. SMU, you can't discount them at this point. I I don't know that they've played a meaningful conference game yet, have they?
I'll
I don't
check.
think.
Let me
Not
check.
that I recall. Let's see. Who else am I thinking about? Florida State's going to make a run, but I think that they've
Dug a hole.
dug a hole that's going to be really tough to get out of. Cal is dangerous, but they have an 18-year-old quarterback that's a gunslinger himself, and he's showing at times that he's 18 years old. So it's going to be tough for them to get into that upper echelon. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody.
No, I don't think you are. The ponies of SMU, any ACC game of merit, they've only played one, is Syracuse, which the Syracuse is a team that's not the same Syracuse with their quarterback out. The backup quarterback doesn't carry the same weight that the starter, who I think, ripped up his knee?
I think so.
Yeah, ripped up his knee. SMU's got Stanford this weekend.
Of course, you can't completely. I guess you can't completely dismiss Louisville either. They could fight their way back into contention, I think.
Yeah, Louisville's got the one loss, obviously, against UVA. Part of me is not going to discount Clemson either. Clemson's 1-2 in conference play, and there's still a lot of talent on that Clemson roster. But I mean, if you're a Virginia fan, you're in the driver's seat here. And as Hootie said, that Georgia Tech Duke matchup in a couple of weeks may eliminate one of those two.
Probably. At least it's going to put somebody in a hole.
You're going to put somebody in the hole for sure. This is a crazy story for you here. Tony Elliott must be the front runner for ACC Coach of the Year right now.
I think hands down he would be right now. No question about it. I don't know who else off the top of my head that it could be, unless it's
Georgia Tech head coach, maybe.
Brent Key or the guy at Duke, Manny
The former Miami quarterback. Is that
Diaz.
Yeah, Diaz, the former Miami head coach. Is Chandler Morris on the short list of Player of the Year in the conference?
I would think so right now. Probably him and Beck from Miami.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the running backs are in contention for that right now, because none of them are having the kind of year that would unseat a great quarterback effort. So I would say as of right now, I'd say those two would be the front runners. The Duke quarterback, who came in from Tulane, is somebody will have to be considered too, because he's putting up some crazy numbers. That guy he's impressive. He can fling it. I would say those three right now are the three guys that I would consider at this point.
Crazy time right now. You have a team that is got a head coach on a short list for Coach of the Year. You got a team that's got a quarterback on the short list for Player of the Year. You got a team that's got a clear path to the ACC championship. You got a team that, if it's got a clear path to the ACC championship, could have a path to the college football playoff.
Who would have ever thought that?
And the beginning of the season, everyone was scratching their head, where 6 wins going to come from. Me leading that charge, where the 6 wins going to come from. A team that going into the year had the least amount of victories in all of power football over the last 3 years. This shows you what money can do to a roster where 40% plus of the roster is completely brand new.
Yeah. Indiana did it last year. Texas Tech has done it this year. Arizona State last year were prime examples of that. Vanderbilt, I'm assuming they've spent a lot of money to turn that program completely around over the last 2 years. But Virginia's done an incredible job with that, and I think we might have mentioned this last week, but when they got that huge donation dropped out of pennies from heaven, so to millions from heaven,
by the anonymous donor.
Whoever
that is, thank goodness for you.
Yeah, I mean, somebody should give you a medal, whoever you are.
Yeah.
But man, talking to those coaches about being in that war room and all the recruiting lists up there, pecking orders and all this stuff, when they came in and said, erase all that, we're starting over and we're going big game hunting. And they've certainly brought in incredible talent, and they've done a good job of scouting out some of these guys too. I mean, Jamari Taylor, North Carolina Central, Daniel Rickert, Tennessee Tech, Army, Morgan State.
Even Chandler Morris.
Chandler, yeah.
North Texas.
Yeah. I mean,
how did Chandler Morris fall? How did Chandler Morris come to us? How is Chandler Morris not a starting quarterback at a power football team over the last 3 or 4 years?
I don't know.
It's just shocking to me.
Yeah, to me too. I mean, he was there at TCU and he was the starting quarterback.
Then he lost his job because of injury.
Yeah, he was injured, and they went on to play in the national championship game. And had he not been injured, he probably would have been their quarterback in that game, I'm assuming, and probably would have still be there. I would guess. Well, I maybe be gone by now. I'm not sure, but yeah, for him to wind up here is. That's an interesting story.
Interesting story. Closing thoughts, Hootie Ratcliffe. Time flies.
Time does fly, and thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate your support and your listenership, viewership. Yeah, I mean, should be fun just catching up this week, seeing what we're probably not going to have any access to the player. Well, I know we're not going to have any access to the players or coaches this week because of the bye week. I'm sure they'll use this week not only to get well, but to self-scout and to kind of reevaluate, take some things out that haven't worked well and focus on the things that do work well, maybe add a couple of twists for the stretch run. So it'll be an interesting week for Virginia football, gearing up for what could be a historic finish for Virginia football. And who would have ever thought that? Nobody thought we'd be talking about that or writing those stories. And just around the corner is basketball, guys.
I know.
Virginia Basketball Media Day is Friday. And so we're on the cusp of
a team that looks pretty loaded with talent.
Yeah, if they're not a preseason top 25 team, somebody's missing the boat, I think.
If the football season goes, and we'll close on this, if the football season goes, if it's an advantageous close to the year, and it's an ACC championship appearance, let's just say, you may be looking at the start of what could be one of the top athletic years in the nation across an entire department.
Yeah, it really could be, because they're always strong in spring sports.
Exactly. And basketball's loaded. At least on paper it's loaded. And
the women's swimming program is a dynasty, and the men are building toward that.
Right.
So, wow. Yeah, this could be a banner year for Virginia athletics for sure.
Bingo, exactly. I mean, men's soccer's top 20. I mean, women's soccer's what, number 1?
Yeah, I think maybe all their fall sports are ranked, I believe.
Field hockey's number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I know this is because I'm on your website. I'm under Olympic Sports, and you put their ranking in the headline. Yeah, you got men's soccer at 16. You got women's soccer at 1. You got field hockey at 2.
Volleyball, I'm not sure if they're ranked or not. I can't say that I have a lot of volleyball knowledge.
I don't have much volleyball knowledge either, but there is
cross country is always good.
There's volleyball coverage on JerryRatcliffe.com. JerryRatcliffe.com is the website that you guys want to check out. JerryRatcliffe.com. Judah Wickower is
he's the glue man,
the MVP.
He's the MVP if there ever was one.
Judah Wickower behind the camera is our director. My name is Jerry Miller. The show is archived wherever you get your content, your podcasting content, and your social media. The I Love CVille show, guys, is up at 12:30. So long, and thank you kindly for joining us. Nicely done.
Same to you, brother.